Kind of get started and tell you guys who we are. First off, I'm Kyle Jones. I got into podcasting probably about 4 years ago. I was still am a part of a podcast called Doctor Who Pod Shop. It's one of the oldest podcasts, and I listened to it from about 2007 through 2014 when they asked me to come on. So that was kind of cool. People that you had listened to for 10 years almost, all of a sudden, here you were, on there with them. Clarence and I started discussing Who last year, and it has been going on since then. We do comic books, we do science fiction, and of course we do Doctor Who. So, Clarence, you want to tell a little bit about you?
Yeah, so I've known Kyle for over 10 years now,
Yep.
maybe, off and on. But kind of our podcast started as conversations where he was trying to get me into Doctor Who. I was like, what is this thing with this guy flying around in his phone booth?
Well, actually, let me take that
ahead.
back a little bit. He walks into my office one day and he says, I need something to watch on Netflix. So I say, okay, Doctor Who, because who doesn't want to convert somebody into Doctor Who? So he comes back the next day after watching Rose, wasn't it?
Yes.
I don't think I can watch this. Give it time. 2 more episodes in. Just give it time. Just wait for David Tennant is finally and then keep going.
Yeah, so eventually I got on board, and we just had these random conversations, and it kind of over the years just kind of turned into a podcast. We wanted other people to hear what we were talking about. Yeah, that's kind of the genesis. I was on another podcast at first called Tech Edition, which this guy over here was on with me. We started that in 2008, and it's been going on for the longest. So yeah, that's kind of my base.
And then last September, we went to a Doctor Who Day at the local Flowwood Library, and we met our very own River Song, who's more Dalek today than River. So
Exterminate, sweetie. Just kidding. Hey, my name's Angie Meadows. I'm from Jackson's very own Doctor Who costuming and fan group, Metro-Whovians. If you've been walking around, you've been seeing our booth in the back wall back there with the big TARDIS making noise and lit up back there. And of course, you've probably seen Dark Smolik, our 80% scale Dalek, moving around the floor here and trying to exterminate everybody because he's cranky. He's always trying to do that. But he's an 80% scale Dalek. He's 100% of the evil with 20% less packaging. So, yeah. But anyway, like I said, we met these guys at the library, and they've been nice enough to let me help them out on a couple of podcasts, things like that. So, and they let me sit in here and talk to you guys today. So I'm really excited about that, and it's good to be here.
So what I would like for this to be is as interactive as possible, and what I mean by that is I want you guys to participate in the conversation. You guys know who we are. You've heard who we are. So I just want to kind of get in and ask you guys some questions. So who was your first doctor? Anybody?
Fourth Doctor.
Fourth doctor. Anybody else?
11th.
11th doctor. 10. Anybody else? Okay. So, having said that, mine was the 4th. Yours would have been
Mine, yeah.
No, 9.
9th.
Yeah, and I'm a Tom Baker. Yeah, came in.
Obviously, Tom Baker.
Yeah.
What do you think, Angie, that made Doctor Who and the 4th incarnation different, special compared to the others?
Well, you always remember your first doctor. I mean, everybody here is like, well, hey, my first was, he's got to be my favorite, and Tom Baker was that for me. It was just, back then we didn't have a whole lot of, good, science fiction, things. I've always been more of a sci-fi and fantasy kind of person. I don't really get into reality TV and things like that. So, back then, to see this, this was so new and just so, out of there and ahead of its time that, I think a lot of people, kind of responded to it. And it was kind of what we were all kind of looking for, for that kind of escape thing. So that was, I think that's probably a lot to do it with me personally. And like I've told these guys before, when, I lived in the country, here in Mississippi, and I probably didn't have anybody within a 50-mile radius that knew what a TARDIS was back then. So it's really cool to, get to go to conventions and meet a lot of fans, that, we all kind of grew up, with the same thing, the ones that grew up with Tom Baker and, just meeting everybody. So I think that's, one thing about it.
Yeah, I'm very much a New Who person, so I oftentimes get berated by Kyle Jones over here because I really am reluctant to go back and watch the older seasons. It's kind of, we talking about Power Rangers, it's kind of hard to watch because that's kind of the 90s, but I kind of have the same feeling with the classic Who. Although I do respect it, I respect the history, it's still just hard for me to go back and watch. So Elkerson was my first Doctor. Like Hal mentioned, it was hard to get into it first, but once I was on board, And when I got into him, he was gone. So, yeah, he was my first. And I'm not gonna say my favorite, but definitely one of my first.
Okay, so who would be your favorite?
I really like Matt Smith, man. I know most people are gonna say Tennant, but Matt Smith just brought a joy and fun to it that I really love. And yeah, that's the reason he's my first and favorite. What about yourself?
I would go back to saying I remember watching Tom Baker as a child, and seeing the blue box, seeing the scarf, not even really realizing that back then that was Doctor Who, but just having that childhood memory, and then rediscovering it on Netflix back in the DVD era of Netflix, and then seeing, because what was interesting with me with Doctor Who, I would only watch Tom Baker at first. And a friend of mine said, you need to watch the Five Doctors. And I said, well, I don't want to watch that with all those other men on there. I just like that doctor. And I was like, this was like 2003, 2004. This wasn't that long ago. And I was like, okay, I must not have been that good of a Doctor Who fan, because that was the moment I realized it was the same person. I had only seen the episodes on PBS that were Tom Baker, and thinking, okay, well, here's this other black and white TV, episode. I don't want to watch that. And then once I realized that was the same person, that's when my obsession became like full on force. I had to, find as many Regeneration episodes as I possibly could and watch those and get them. So that's kind of my start. And, but you're right. 11 did have a lot of good moments over 10. I got a question for the guy that said 11 was your first Doctor. So my question to you is, have you gone back and watched any of the older stuff?
I've seen things like one episode with Tom Baker and the first story arc with the first Doctor.
Cool. How did you like it?
Yeah, I liked it. It's just, let's see. I've been really watching a lot of shows.
The production value is so different that it's almost jarring to go back and watch. I read somewhere one time that the amount they spent on catering today is the amount they spent on the first arc of the Unearthly Child arc. So just put that into context. I mean, it's like, very big difference. Companions. Let's talk companions for a second. Anybody just talk. Who's your favorite companion? Rose.
I like Paul.
Who?
Paul Oswald.
You got a Clara fan here.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Rose, Clara?
Tom Baker's car.
Tom Baker's car. That's his
It had more personality than most of the other companions.
So we've got Rose, we've got Clara. Who's your favorite?
Well, Sarah Jane. But we can't have But we can't have Sarah Jane anymore. But like I said, in the new part, I loved Amy and Rory. I just loved them, running around with the Doctor, and it was a different kind of dynamic because you had Rose, she was that was kind of a romantic kind of thing going on, but then you had Amy and Rory running around, and that as they were all kind of best friends, and I just really loved that. And of course, the Dr. Donna. Who doesn't love the Dr. Donna? She was amazing.
Yeah. What about Clara for you?
Oh man, I love Clara, and I know I'm not in the graces of most people here because most people hate her. I'm not gonna say hate. People say she overstayed her welcome, which she probably did. By the end of her run, she had pretty much progressed to another version of the Doctor because she was so knowledgeable and powerful by the end of it. So I mean, she's my favorite. I love her. It sucks that a lot of people aren't on board, and I've even been known to call the impossible host sometimes. So that's funny. But yeah, she's my favorite. What about you, Kyle?
It would have to be without hands down. I mean, I loved Rose. I liked Clara. I liked Donna. You know, I liked Amy and Rory, but without a doubt, it has to be Sarah Jane. And not because of Sarah Jane being Sarah Jane in the 70s. I'm talking because Sarah Jane, to me, was the one who made Doctor Who for the new generation tie directly into Doctor Who from the previous generation. And that moment in school reunion where Dr. Sarah Jane come face, I mean, I'm getting like chilled just even saying it now, just that moment where they come face to face and you just see the Doctor and Sarah again, that to me was, you know, hands down makes her my favorite companion.
So, do a lot of you guys like go back and research references to things from the older classic series that are kind of sprinkled in there? I know I have to ask Kyle a lot of times, like, what was that? They made a big deal out of it, and you read stuff online, people are making a big deal out of certain things. So, Kyle, let me ask you, like, classic Who things sprinkled into new Who. How do you find those things, and do you? I know a lot of it's lost on me, but are those things special to you as watching the new Who?
Okay, so to answer that question, I'll ask a question to the group.
Okay, go ahead.
So how many of you have seen Empress of Mars? Have you guys seen that? All right. So the character Alpha Centauri at the end, did anybody recognize that character from the previous, 1970s show? Got one person, a couple people. So my point being, you could still enjoy Empress of Mars, seeing Alpha Centauri, not having any knowledge of who that character is, other than character at the end helps save the Martians and goes on to the next story. Knowing, because I remember I told you that when I heard that voice, it was like, okay, that voice sounds familiar. And then to go back and research and look up, and the voice is a 90-year-old actress that was actually the same actress of that voice in the 70s.
Yeah.
It just adds another layer to it.
But not only that, it's so much richer when you know the full story. Can you explain the appearance of her and the actual?
So basically, for who Alpha Centauri is, the story that is set up with Empress of Mars, with the 12th Doctor introducing the Martians to this galactic federation of planets, then leads into a third Doctor story when the Doctor goes back, or not necessarily goes back, just visits as the third Doctor this planet, and you see Alpha Centauri, you see the Ice Warriors interact. So you're seeing something that happened with the 12th Doctor actually cause something that happened with the third Doctor.
Yeah.
So you just made a face that made me ask a question to the audience, which is, does Doctor Who ever make your head hurt?
I've always loved the time paradox stories.
All right, so which one's your favorite?
Has to be Pandora.
Okay.
That was so convoluted, but it was so quintessential Doctor Who to reboot the universe. At the end.
Good point.
I wanted to see the Pandorca so badly in Eaters of Light a couple weeks ago. They could have just ran past it sitting there, and it would have been great. Just a little nod to that. I really wanted to see that. Rory the Roman. I really wanted.
I love Rory. The development in that character.
Yeah.
I mean, when first time he goes out with them, he's like trying to fight off the guy with the broomstick.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then he becomes this incredibly competent, tough person.
Yeah.
By the end of it.
Well, you look at Amy from her first appearance, and she's very, I don't want to say bratty, but almost a little immature. And then you see Amy and the Angels Take Manhattan as this fully developed, and taking to another companion. My first encounter with Donna Noble, on that one-off Christmas special was when they said she's going to be the new companion, going, are you serious? Because I hated Donna in that first appearance. And then whenever she left at the end of that fourth series, I was going like, no, I don't want Donna to go, you know. So the one thing that I found interesting about Doctor Who, and I know other TV shows do this as well, but the character development that they spend with the companions, because ultimately it may be Doctor Who, but it's the companions that are the star of the show when you boil it all down to it. They're our window into who the Doctor is. So let's talk our newest companion, and no spoilers from from the end of the series or anything like that. But how many of you like Bill? Raise a hand. You like Bill? Okay, got some shaking heads.
She's adorable.
Angie, what is it about Bill that you find adorable?
Well, everything is so fresh and new to her. I mean, the way she approaches everything. I mean, she's just so enthusiastic and just so ready to kind of get in there and learn. And I think that's just brought a lot of, newness and just a lot of freshness to the whole series. The way she's just kind of, because I'm sorry, but Clara was a little, she was kind of road weary, there at the end. She was kind of more seasoned and everything. But Bill is just, she's like all of us when we first discover Doctor Who. We're all just excited, and when we find that right episode that, that hooks us in. And she's the same way, and I think that's what I have really loved about her, and it's just gotten better as the season has gone on this year. I mean, the season, it's been a joy to watch her.
I'm loving her in this season. She has definitely been a great surrogate for us, and the thing I love about her is she asks all the questions that we want to know the answer to. And she asks them in a quirky, weird way, but she does ask the questions that we want to know. And, my favorite moment of the season is actually when she was questioning the Doctor on how many, I think it was in Thin Ice, on how many people he's killed. That was some deep stuff, man. So just seeing a fresh face, and I think this season would be great for anybody who's trying to get into Doctor Who because of that. Because she, why are you flying around in this blue box? She definitely asks all the questions that someone new would have for the Doctor.
So what about Nordal? How many of you guys like Nordal? I see a smiling face. You like Nordal?
Yeah.
What is it about Nordal that you like?
I just like how he basically keeps the Doctor in check. He's pretty much like his mom, honestly. And I don't know, his character is just really sarcastic and funny, and it's like he's even more sarcastic than the Doctor. And 12 was like really sassy when he first showed into the series, and so I love how Nordal is kind of like his parental unit, even if he doesn't like it so much.
What I like about Nordal is he's not your typical companion. He's got permission from River to basically, whip the Doctor, what, if he wants to. So he's not dependent on the Doctor as, if Bill goes off somewhere with him and Bill gets left, she's dependent upon the Doctor to come back. I could think Nordal could take care of himself if he so, needed to. Which leads me to wonder, will Nordal come back? We all wonder, is Bill coming back? We know Capaldi's leaving, so I really want Nordal to come back. Something tells me that he won't with the new showrunner, but I think they're going to do a clean slate. That's just speculation. But I'm enjoying having not the Amy and Rory dynamic of two people being married to each other, but I really like the dynamic of having two companions that are not connected traveling together.
Yeah, Mama Nordal, as I call him. He's also been funny and witty and refreshing. I don't know if I expected him to be in as much of the season, because it seems like at first we didn't know if he was coming on, and then he's been in every episode so far. But he's been a welcome change. Again, like it's been stated, keeping the Doctor in check when need be. And probably one of the few people I've seen talk to the Doctor that way, like he can, you better listen to me. You're gonna going to respect me. So that's been fun with them.
So how many of you are sad to see Capaldi leaving?
Oh, hey.
Me too.
About half, yeah.
How many of you think that this season of Capaldi's Doctor compared to the first two seasons, there's just something better about Capaldi? Yeah, me too. Because in that first season, season 8, if they would have said Capaldi's a one-season person, I would have been like, yes, I wouldn't have missed him. I know that was you liked him that first season?
It was a little bit. It took me a few episodes to get it. By the end of it, yeah, I was definitely on board. But one thing that got me on board with him, just real quick, I saw a video where he went to the they have the Doctor Who Museum there in London, he was in there one day and he was pretending to be the Doctor, and there was a room full of kids there that he was talking to, and they were asking him questions, and one asked him, who's your favorite companion? And he started talking. He said, well, right now I travel with someone named, with my companion's name is Clara, and he was talking about her a little bit. And then he said, but I think my most favorite one has got to be my granddaughter, Susan. And then he said, I promised I would go back and see her. And he teared up and he got emotional and he, started crying a little bit. He goes, but I didn't. And I was just like, wow, he really gets it. And for that moment, when I saw that, thank goodness for you two, because when I saw that, he became the Doctor for me. I was just like, he's amazing. He gets it. And all these kids were just in awe of him. So love that.
So I am going to make a prediction. You guys are hearing it now. Merry Christmas is all I'm going to say. I think Merry Christmas for what you just said. I hope Merry Christmas
You hope
for what you said. Because the actress has already expressed interest, saying, if I was asked back, I would come back, and she's the first companion. So if, they even thought she's, not young, she's not getting any younger, and if she wants to come back, let her come back. And if Capaldi is obviously a Hartnell fan, let her come back and be in the Christmas episode for his final. I would be happy with that. So we've been talking about companions, we've been talking about doctors, but we forgot one very, very important group that we need to say something nice about. So, who's your favorite villains? Anybody? Throw them out.
Weeping Angels.
Weeping Angels.
Man.
Okay.
Man.
The guy that who said Weeping Angel? You said Weeping Angel? Weeping Angel. My friend over there, would you like to show your tattoos?
And now none of us can blink because now that has become.
See, I wanted a captive audience so that,
Oh, wow.
you played all
They do
right.
nothing and they scare you.
Exactly.
Exactly.
But your statues and they're scary.
I put a Weeping Angel mask on in the closet. We opened it, I scared him. On the spot.
That's one thing I got to give Moffat credit for. He makes us scared of things that are like so boring. Like that whole, you are my mommy. Mommy. That whole,
Yeah.
mommy is creepy.
You do that too well.
Yeah. He's actually kept a promise that he wrote in that. So everybody lives wrote just this once.
Yes.
Yeah. He's kept that promise up to date.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Mommy.
He hasn't even brought back Jack because he can't even kill him.
Right, exactly.
That's I hope they bring him back after this season.
I wouldn't mind seeing Captain Jack return.
Definitely.
Because he's expressed, he actually wanted to come back for the 50th, but just wasn't asked.
Anybody watch Torchwood? Anybody? What do y'all think of that as being a more adult Doctor Who spinoff?
I think it started good, but Miracle Day was a bit of a push.
Yeah.
I gotta say that.
And we also saw one Peter Capaldi in that series as well.
So, back to our villains. How many of you like Missy? Yeah. Clarence is in the minority, I think, of this. You don't really like Missy. Why?
So, quick question. So I don't remember. Is her umbrella a Sonic? Because she was kind of like, this is a reference to last night's episode. I can't remember if it's a Sonic or not.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
But
But I guess we can.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Missy fan, and I can't really tell you why. I can't really put my finger on it why I don't like her as much. It might be the fact that Kyle just raves and rants about her the whole time. But
She is a deranged Mary Poppins. What is there not to like
Yeah,
about
really.
this?
I don't know.
Deranged Mary
Brought
Poppins.
back the master that way.
Right,
I
exactly.
mean, and you can't die and come back and not be a little
Right.
like that.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, consider the last time you saw the Master, he was just like about to explode with energy before they went back into the time war. So, anybody have a least favorite villain?
The Zygons, because we barely got to see the new one from the 50th, and the storyline for the Zygon Invasion, Part 1 and 2, it was a good bit for an uprising of just Teamster. What was really caused of it, because I'd actually like to see how they got up to being allowed to be on Earth with that bit of the number.
Good point. You-
Slovene.
I hated him.
They were terrible.
Yeah.
They actually worked a little better in the Sarah Jane Adventure because
Yes.
it was a kid's show, but just the cat, the farting and all that
Yeah,
just
that-
became corny.
It got old, and it got old quick. Yeah.
Well, like my thing with the villains is the look of them. I know, like you mentioned before, there's a limited budget, but like some of them just look so incredibly cheesy. It's just like, oh, why did you bring that villain? And it's just, I can't get on board with it. So, I mean, TV production values are so good across the board these days. It's just sometimes hard for me to get on board with a villain that looks like back to the Power Rangers, like something out of Power Rangers, you know. So we've mostly avoided that in the new Who, but yeah, that's one of the things that turns me off almost immediately from a villain.
But on the other hand, if you're going to bring back a Dalek, it has to look like a
Yeah,
Dalek.
no, I don't have a
Yeah,
problem with the
definitely.
Daleks. That's
And
one I
on
don't
the
have a problem with.
Cybermen, it has to look like a Cyberman, and
Yeah.
that's the way they looked back
Yeah.
when they didn't have a budget.
Right.
Well, they did change the Cybermen a bit, didn't they, Kyle?
Yeah, they did, but I do like, you know, the fact that they're going back, and again, no spoilers, because we already know, you know, they're going back and using the original Cybermen. So the fact that they're paying such great detail to making them look cheaply done, per se. They did a great job, or doing from the pictures that I've seen, hence not talking about last night, that they looked and felt to me like those old school original Cybermen.
Yeah, I agree.
Daleks, we mentioned the Daleks. Does anybody feel like the Daleks are sometimes overused a little bit?
Could you repeat the question? I think you for a second.
What now?
He said he can hear you.
Question.
Oh, does anybody feel like the Daleks are a little bit overused?
Yeah, because it's always the same. They come back somehow, they explode, then a new generation pops up. I admit that back in that time when they used that chronology where we're staying, come back with his saying that you are the Daleks and I am the Doctor, you're my enemy. That was a good way to bring them back, but they are a tad bit overused. And I'd actually like to see something new done about the Daleks. Like another Dalek hybrid, like they did with David in the
New York episode, which is interesting. How many of you know that in the Daleks in Manhattan episode was also a street kid that went on to play what character? Anybody know? He played a. I'll put it this way: he played a character that is involved in a homecoming in a few weeks. And Andrew Garfield was in Daleks in Manhattan. He was one of the street kids that was in that episode. So go back and watch that. You'll see Spider-Man. So that's kind of cool. All right, let's talk about the 13th Doctor. I know our time's wrapping up kind of soon. So we're getting the 13th Doctor next year. Any wishes of what you want to see? Anybody of what you want to see?
I kind of want to see him come back to at least figure either river or any of his previous companions, like funcking on the street, has given half off. There's some things we didn't even get a good farewell. You did get Amy's goodbye, which was a bit part of it, and it's kind of mom for mentioning that.
Well, I mean, I guess that's something we could talk about. What do people think about the concept of bringing past doctors back to the show? I personally think you shouldn't do it. Although we have beloved ones we like to see again, we always have those special episodes that we can kind of see them in. But I think you should move forward. I personally don't want to go back to any doctor.
You're
but what do you think?
What do you think, Angie?
Well, I mean, I go back to the 50th anniversary special, and oh my gosh, wasn't that the best? I mean, that was amazing. And seeing, me and my son, which is another cool thing about Doctor Who, the gap, break, the generations all just kind of come together. And here's my son and I sitting there in the living room, and then here's 13 doctors on the screen at one time, and we are screaming. We are so excited. And I mean, that to me, that was just such a great moment. I mean, just for, maybe just kind of a, drop in, maybe every once in a while. I mean, I like it, just to kind of see, oh gosh, I loved him so much. Oh my gosh, there's Matt Smith. Oh my gosh, there's Matt Smith. But no, I
I'd be great at curating. I'd be the great curator.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, when I saw the back of his neck, how many of you guys knew? Yeah, I know who that is.
Yeah.
Just when you
Or how many
Tom
of
Baker.
you had that chill go down your spine whenever you hear him do that? I really think you might thing, and then start that. Now, that didn't, I'll be honest, I'll sit here and say it. That was the moment whenever it was like chills and the waterworks. And
Yeah, I cheered up on that one too. That was amazing.
So back to our villains, just for a second. We've talked about Missy, we've talked about the Daleks, we talked about the Cybermen. Are there any other classic Who or any new Who villains that you would like to see Chibnall take a different look at or bring back or do something different?
I actually wouldn't mind watching a new episode about them.
About who?
Alton and Security.
Ah, okay.
They were featured in the Queen of Mars.
Yes.
I'd really like to see them because I heard that it was a good episode back in the days, and that they brought back for that just scene. I got curious on it, and unfortunately, I'd like to see it be a new take on it.
That would be cool. Actually,
Yeah.
Sun Torrens.
Okay.
The who now?
Sun Torrens.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be interesting to see them come back here. We had the one guy who was with them for a while. It was just kind of like,
Strax,
okay,
yeah.
that's gone. And it'd be interesting to see what they could come up with.
Well, we got used to Strax kind of being,
Lovable.
lovable, kind of like
relief.
almost like comedy relief, and the Sontarans, boy, when they were, when they, invaded or tried to invade, they were pretty bad. So yeah, it would be cool to see them and even maybe put, Strax back with them, and they're like, what happened to you? That would be a cool thing. I would like to see that.
I would love to see the Silent again.
Oh
They were really terrifying.
The who now? Sorry.
The Silence.
Oh, yeah. Yes, they.
They were the most dangerous ones because
Yeah.
they could have already been in part of the season from William Hartnell's side. He's just
True.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because a lot of people you see on Facebook and the memes and such, they say, well, every time you go into a room and you forget what you came in for, that's
Oh,
them.
yes.
And now every time I do that, I think, oh yeah, where are you at, buddy?
look for marks of your
Exactly.
I've seen if I had a pen, I was. Oh.
Yeah. There you go.
So I got a question for you guys. So we have Capaldi, he's an older doctor. Elkerson, I guess he was kind of in the middle. So older doctor or younger doctor?
Ooh, good question.
What do you guys like?
I kind of like both Matt and Colby due to Colby's episode in Listen and, of course, his earlier in Hellbent and I can't remember in season 8 which one was it when he was in I keep forgetting, I'm confused, but I do like him, but Matt was my favorite doctor because when he first popped on the card, I paused that Kennedy and I said, Mom, look, that's me. Time travel does exist because I totally saw resilience in me, and Matt had cosplay this Matt ever since. And I just think Matt was the best doctor in my book because he helped me get through high school. He made me pay attention.
But you know what? Isn't that the greatness about Doctor Who is for everybody sitting in here in this room right now, regardless if it's the three of us up here, it's everybody in this room that knows about Doctor Who. Everyone has that Doctor Who moment. Whereas you've got that you just said, you've got your 11th Doctor, and you've got your 10th and 9th and 1st and whatever. And I think that's what makes Doctor Who so endearing to people, is that there's really something for everybody that reinvents itself over and over and over again. All right, so we got about 5 more minutes.
Yeah, I mean, just on the question I asked a second ago, I think that, I'm glad Capaldi's having a good season this season, because I kind of felt at first the reason people weren't latching on to him is the fact that he wasn't the young heartthrob Doctor. He was older, and they kind of took that whole kind of love clinginess out of it when Capaldi came around, and that's kind of why I thought people weren't as keen to it.
And that's what turned me against Clara, because I would have rather that scene in Deep Breath where she's questioning him being the Doctor after seeing all the other versions of the Doctor. I would have rather it have been Jenny, or I would have rather it have been Vastra that question, are you really the Doctor? But the fact that you had Clara, who had just come off the previous couple episodes before, seeing everyone, then questions him, that was the point that turned me off on Clara. All right, so I just want to remind everybody how to get in touch with us and how to get in touch with the Metro-Whovians. So River Song first.
Yeah, Riverside, Angie Meadows, Metro-Whovians. You guys, if you haven't been around the back wall yet, come back to the booth and see us. We're raising donations this weekend for Diabetes Foundation of Mississippi. It's near and dear to my heart. My son has type 1 diabetes. So, and all the money raised stays right here in the state. So come by, get some pictures in the TARDIS, play our Dalek extermination game. Who doesn't like to do that, right? And, just come out. It's going to be a good time. We're having fun back there.
Unfortunately, your fluid link doesn't work, because I tried to go home in her TARDIS last night. It didn't work.
Oh, yeah, well, chameleons are good,
All right, so Clarence, how can people find us?
Yeah, well, first of all, how many people know what a podcast is? That's pretty... Okay. Well, if you don't know, it's basically just a radio show on the internet. If you have an iPhone or an Apple device, you can use the Apple Podcast app.
Yes, Apple Podcast.
And just search for Discussing Who and click subscribe, and then you'll get a fresh episode every time we release one. You don't have to do anything, just subscribe to it. So you can find...
We're also available on Android.
Yeah, also available on Android. You can search Google Play for the same thing. You can find us, search for Discussing Who. Yeah, so we're also on Facebook and Twitter at Discussing Who. If you have a question and you want to call us and leave a voicemail, our number is 805-850-BWHO. So you can call us and leave a question or a comment. Okay.
That's pretty much it. We just want to thank everybody for coming in. We were hoping before it got started, we said, well, if we get 3 people, we'll be happy. So you made our day. We are very, very happy that you guys came out. So thank every single one of you guys for coming and talking to us, and we hope you had fun. So thank you all.
Thanks, guys.